because also we have soil depletion and food, as much as food is first and food is medicine, it's hard to find the food or the fruits and vegetables and food that is really going to give you the enough amount of nutrients that you need.
Welcome to Suburban Warrior, the podcast that will impact, inspire, and empower you to transform your mindset and become the badass warrior that you are. I'm your host and fellow warrior, Chrissy Pfeiffer, former clinician and corporate marketing exec turned multi-passionate entrepreneur, performance and life coach, and mom to 4 not-so-little warriors. Each week, I will bring you honest conversations with inspiring guests to share their stories of resilience, optimism, success, and simple yet effective strategies so that you transform your thoughts and change your behavior to get the results you want in your life. You will be empowered to take action, warrior up, and believe in you. Let's do this. What's up, warriors? Welcome back to another episode of the Suburban Warrior Podcast. I'm your host, Chrissy Pfeiffer, back again this week with another amazing suburban warrior here to share her story and expertise with us. And I'm so excited to welcome to the podcast, Yasmin Areida. She is a dedicated functional medicine nutritionist, passionate about helping people overcome challenges related to hormone imbalances, gut health, sleep disorders, autoimmune conditions, and chronic pain. With years of experience, her approach centers around holistic healing through personalized lifestyle changes and targeted supplement protocols. She believes in addressing the root cause of health issues rather than just treating symptoms to support long-term wellness and vitality. In addition to her work in functional medicine, she's also a certified HeartMath practitioner, which allows her to guide clients through stress management techniques such as breathing exercises to lower cortisol levels. While she initially started in the field of cosmetic services like PRP microneedling, her true calling lies in functional medicine, where she can make a profound difference in people's lives. Welcome to the podcast, Yasmin.
Hi, thank you.
I'm so excited for you to be here because I truly think that, medicine is really, or there should be a shift, and I think we're starting to see it, a shift in treating patients and a shift in medicine to really truly looking at the root cause of symptoms, as opposed to just treating each symptom individually and looking at people as these as a whole person and, holistically looking at all the different symptoms, not just treating each symptom with a pill, hoping that it's going to resolve the issue. And so I'm thrilled to have you here because I think looking at root causes of health is so important, especially to my audience, which is, women in midlife who are going through a lot of different changes in their body and may have a lot of different symptoms. So thank you for being here. And, let's start out by telling my listeners a little bit about yourself and how you sort of, got into finding your passion of, holistic functional medicine and functional nutrition.
Hi, my name is Yasmin Areida. I'm a physician, a doctor from Egypt. I came here about 7 years ago with lots of dreams. I used to be a surgeon, a plastic surgeon in Egypt, which is totally a different thing than what I'm doing here. But when I came here, you have to start from the beginning and see your way as a mother and a wife and a new person, a new country. I tried to search for something that could actually be available for my family. But I also, when I finished my medical school in Egypt, I was working in nutrition. So nutrition, I have experienced nutrition back to 2013 when I started nutrition. So I looked at nutrition, but I didn't want to go the normal route of nutrition. So I was looking into functional medicine. I went to University of Western State and I had my degree from there and currently still doing my doctorate, University of Western State. But before that, I had a master's degree in health administration. So I've been working in healthcare here for almost like 6 years with different positions until I reached to be a functional medicine nutritionist. And then, like you said, also do a heart math professional, which is I'm fascinated with. It does really help so much and it changed life. I do a little bit of cosmetic. And what also brought me into functional medicine, as myself, I was a patient for autoimmune disease. So that what got me into this functional too, because I wanted to know the root cause of what's am I suffering for and what how to deal with it. As you know, conventional medicine is very important, but it's not detailed enough to tell you the root cause of what you have. Like they have
Yeah.
medicine, like you said, a pill. So you have this, take this pill. You have that, take this pill, and it doesn't look to you as a whole person like the functional medicine eye does.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny because I feel like a lot of practitioners that are functional medicine practitioners, whether they're doctors or just health coaches, that sort of thing, I feel like a lot of people start to get into this field of holistic and functional medicine, usually because of their own experiences. Like you said, whether it's autoimmune, chronic pain, dealing with just chronic inflammation. And, it's not until they're sort of exposed to the benefits of functional medicine and holistic nutrition and that sort of thing for themselves and experience the healing power of it and how it can really make such a difference in your body. I feel like until you go through it. And it would be great if people, sort of dived into it a little bit more before they aren't feeling well or before they're sick or before it becomes, an actual condition, because it truly is life changing. I think when you start to look at the root cause of symptoms and really start to listen to your body as understanding when you have a symptom, if you have chronic headaches, if you have chronic pain, if you have an autoimmune condition, that symptom is your body telling you something isn't right. So just taking a pill for that symptom isn't really resolving the issue. So just a little sidebar based on you sharing your autoimmune condition.
Mhm, exactly. And I see a lot of patients in our clinic now has some experience in functional medicine. Either they read about it or one of the relatives has gone through an experience through it. So I see people are more like knowing functional medicine more now.
Yeah.
It's just because it's not so much covered by insurance or it's not so much known to all the people. So it's really been like a hidden thing. But once you do experience the change in your body and in your symptoms, either yourself or like a son or a daughter or a mother or like a
Yeah.
friend or anything, you really feel the power of supplements and things like that. Like I get lots of people who say, I am not a pill person. Okay, you're not a pill person, but we are like we sometimes we age, sometimes we have some symptoms that really need more supplement wise because also we have soil depletion and food as much as it's food is first and food is medicine. It's hard to find the food or the fruits and vegetables and food that is really going to give you the enough amount of nutrients that you need.
Yeah. Okay, so that's a great segue. Let's talk about that a little bit because let's get into the nutrition part of it because
Mhm.
I feel like I don't know, maybe it's just my maybe it's just my Instagram feed and because of the algorithm, I get a lot of health stuff and nutrition stuff. But I do think that the marketing of nutrition, the amount of supplements we have, all the protein shakes, like, everything. Nutrition is out there so much more now than it used to be, which is kind of interesting because I feel like nutrition, it should have been like the first line of defense, right? Thinking about how simple it is that food is medicine and how we eat really affects, our bodies and ourselves and how crucial our nutrition and what we put in our mouths is. So let's talk about nutrition first and foremost, because I'm curious about your clients that you see and the patients that you see when they come to you. and you bring up nutrition, are they at first hesitant to think that what they're eating could be the cause, or not only just the cause, but could also help heal them? Is there like a little bit of a hesitancy with some people to adopt that idea?
Well, most people come to me and like I have extremes. Most of them say we eat healthy, and some of them will say no, we need a nutrition advice. But then when you dig to the maybe 24-hour recall or 3 days or even 7 days of recall, and you put it in front of them, the amount of things that they are eating, so the amount and the quantity and the thing itself they are eating, and they look at the diary themselves and they see how they are eating. So some of them change the idea about that we eat clean or we eat healthy.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And do you think that eating clean and eating healthy, I mean, those really are two separate things, right?
Yeah, there are separate things, but
Yeah.
some people do think actually I don't eat processed food except in the weekend. And then while we're taking our recall, she's like, "Yeah, I snack on pretzels and I
Right.
snack on." I'm like, "Yeah, okay." So the main thing I like make them do a diary, either 24 hours, 3 days, or 7 days, depending on the situation, and they put there what they eat and they read it like loud to themselves and me, so they can see that sometimes you think that you eat healthy, but there's like a piece of chocolate over there and some pretzels there, and then I took a piece of some chips from my son, and I just ate a piece slice of pizza, but it's gluten free, like this. So you have
Yeah.
to actually see what you're doing, and see how you are, like what are you eating daily, to know exactly. Like if you write the thing, then your mind understands it, because sometimes it's just like, no, it's just a little bit and a little bit, and this little bit counts.
Yes, exactly. Well, that's the thing, right? Like literally every single thing you put in your mouth counts. But we can get into patterns sometimes where we're just picking at stuff,
Hmm.
whether we're picking while we're cooking dinner, picking off of our kids' plates, all of those kind of things. And then you sit down and you eat a full meal, but sometimes all of that picking prior to to your meal is a whole adds up to a whole meal of calories in itself.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
I,
Yeah.
I think we're all definitely guilty of that. So, okay, can you just explain to me a little bit what you think the idea of like sort of eating healthy and eating clean is?
So, yeah, so let's get to the idea of a plate. Like, what do you sit and eat? First, I always encourage people to sit and eat. Just don't eat while you're running, stressing, things like that,
Yeah.
because we do have in our body two systems that we work on: the parasympathetic system and the sympathetic system. The sympathetic system is the system for flight and fight and exam and running after kids, blah blah blah, and studying. And that system is not for digestion. The parasympathetic system is the rest and digest, which you
Yeah.
sit and eat. So first, I encourage people to sit and eat without doing anything, even watching to a stressful something on the TV or getting into a conversation which is really stressful, because you're giving signals to your body to not digest what you're eating. So you might
Yeah.
be eating right, but you might be not digesting it or absorbing it or eliminating it. So that's factors that they can think about. Then let's look at the plate. The diet rich in fruits, vegetables, whole grain, lean protein, essential nutrients is what we need to think about. So if we come to the protein, in simple words, without counting calories, we should be doing like 8 to 9 serving of protein per day. If you look at your hands, the palms without the fingers is 3 serving of protein. So as simple as this amount of protein per day, every day, like 3 amounts of this amount of protein every day would be enough protein. Vegetables and fruits, you should have in your plate around 5 colors, 5 different colors of vegetables and fruits. And that will mean that you will have different amount, different benefits, because every color has its own nutrients that you need. Protein should be of high quality. So you should be looking at lean meat, fish, legumes, dairy every day. And of course, depending on the person, the age, you will see how grams of protein per day. all the way from 0.8, some do 1.2, some do 1.5 per kg of protein per day. But according to how much you are, like work do you have, how much do you work out, and life things.
Yeah.
Calcium and vitamin D, which is very important at this age for your bone. They always recommended about like 1,200 milligrams of calcium per day, but it's also different. Vitamin D is very important. So we can get it from the sunlight, we can get it from the diet, we can get it from supplements if we are not be able to do a proper diet. Healthy fat is important. So, for example, olive oil, avocado, nuts, seeds. These are things that has healthy fats. Fibers is very important because as we grow, constipation becomes a problem.
Yeah.
So fibers are very important. You should eat at least 25 grams of fibers a day, which will come from the whole grain, the fruits, the vegetables, legumes. So if somebody is coming to me with constipation, first thing I say, do you eat enough fiber? Do you drink enough water?
Yeah.
Do you eat enough probiotic? Before we dig into other causes that might need us to do some extensive lab work or stool analysis or whatever we need to do. But let's get to the simple thing, hydration. Are you hydrated? Do you drink enough fluids per day? Do you eat enough fibers per day? If we have problems with this too, then let's consider focusing on this first before we pay more money and dig and spend more time to dig in things other than the
Right.
fibers and fluids. Other thing, the last thing is the sugar and processed food. Of course, as
Yeah.
we as we age, we cannot eat as much sugar as we used to when we are younger. So
Right.
this is something that you really, really need to look at, the processed food and sugars as well.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a few things I want to go back and talk about there. So I think it's really interesting that you bring up how we eat because we do live in this modern world of on the go, on the go, on the go. And I think a lot of people, throw their smoothie in their car and they're drinking it as they're going, or they eat their meals standing up as they're feeding their kids or whatever it may be. And not really thinking about giving honoring our own bodies and giving them the time to actually digest the nutrients that we're consuming. So I
Mhm.
think that is a really important point. I'm curious, what do you think about, because I think almost everybody, my kids are sort of young adults, teenagers and young adults. And if we're not sitting and having a family meal and, they just prepared something for themselves and they sit down, the first thing they do is pick up their phone and they're scrolling on their phone as they're eating. And it actually drives me nutty. That can't be good for you either, right?
Yeah, if you're really doing something else and this thing might be you're watching the news on your like scrolling down on your phone and there's something that's really annoyed you or something that's really
Yeah,
got you into thinking too much, now you're activating your sympathetic system.
I see. Yeah. So
Now
it's really
you
what you're watching or what you're doing.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, now you are not giving your body the signals to digest what you're eating.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So
Because
yeah.
you're not relaxed and yeah.
Yeah, not relaxed, not putting your system in the position of digestion. Digestion is very important because you might be eating right.
Yeah.
That's the thing that I'm saying. That most people say I eat right, I eat healthy. Okay, from where do you get your food? Like, are you eating organic, not organic? From where
Yeah.
are you getting your food? What are you doing while you're eating? Are you chewing your food? Are you giving your body the right thing to work on? Because the digestion starts from the mouth, where you
Right.
have to chew your food.
Right.
You're not chewing your food, then your food is big and not enough for your rest of your digestive system to really actually digest it. So you slow down the digestion because you actually did not chew. So chewing is very
Yeah.
important. First thing to say about. Then
Yeah.
comes to the esophagus, which really is like a transportation from your mouth to your stomach. And then comes to your stomach, which has lots of as they produce acids, they absorb some nutrients, and then you go all the way, which also everywhere in our gut has its own ability to digest and absorb some of our nutrients. So
Right.
where is the problem? Is it in chewing? Is it in your stomach? Where is it? Is it in your sympathetic system? We don't
Yeah, right, right. Is it all of the above? Do we need to
Yeah.
change everything? So when you say like, okay, especially like let's talk like vegetables and lean meats and fruits and that sort of thing, because clean, there's so many labels on all of these foods now that it can really be quite overwhelming. I think for some when they get to the grocery store because there's organic. Okay, so we know that organic. There's non-GMO, but when it comes to meats and stuff too, then there's like grass-fed, pasture-raised, regenerative. Like what should we be eating so that we feel we're eating high quality, clean food?
I mean, the most preferred is the grass-fed one. But also where you're getting your meat from, like which
Okay.
are you getting it from somewhere that they know that they daily or maybe weekly or whatever they have their meats and fish? Are they getting it from a store which actually is a small store that sells randomly? So it's like you have to pick where to get your things. And obviously you will know by experience the taste of the fresh, clean
Yeah.
things will differ from none of them. So sometimes even when you go to the big stores and you know that you are used to buy from them and you see this labels that this has to go quickly. So that means that this has
Yeah.
been there for a while, not
Right.
because it's cheaper, like I would get it, but it's obviously not the best to do.
Yeah. So really the key is local. Like if you can
Yeah,
go to your local butcher or you can go to your farmer's market and get local
that's the best.
vegetables or and fruit, those are going to be more nutrient dense,
Mhm.
healthier, cleaner because they're
Yeah.
fresher.
Of course, yeah, they're
Yeah.
fresher. And also like the frozen vegetables and fruits, of course, they don't have that much of nutrients left.
Yeah.
Like there's research about spinach. I read that when you get it from the local farm, the day you get it has some nutrients, but then you put it in the fridge, next day it's 50% off in
Right.
following. So you get the spinach from somewhere where already it was there for days, and then you put it in your fridge for days, then don't expect to have nutrients in it.
Right. I mean, and that's the crazy thing too. I think that we're learning about now is that I think a lot of people do believe that they're eating healthy, but I think the way that our food system is structured and just our modern society, we're not really eating healthy. We might be eating foods that we think are healthy, but they're still depleted in some of the vital nutrients that our bodies need. And so, here we are trying so hard and thinking that we're doing the right thing. But in the end, our body is still saying, no, I'm still lacking XYZ, and it's really just about tuning in and listening to our bodies. And like you said, maybe eating more local, going to the farmer's market, getting local, butcher meats as opposed to the grocery store. I think those little steps really add up and can make a big difference.
Yeah, of course, that's true, and also watching and be mindful of what you're eating,
Yeah.
making sure that you are really eating the right thing and the right amount, because you might be eating nuts, which is good, but you're eating like a whole pack of nuts.
Yeah.
So, so that's the thing as well. Quantity
Yeah.
is also something that you have to look at. Yeah, I mean, it's
Yeah.
not only the quality, but also the quantity of the things that you are eating, and then make sure you're getting enough omega-3, which is, of course, in the fish, in the fatty fish, enough magnesium, enough calcium, enough vitamin D. These are all things needed as we are going in our life, that
Yeah.
B
Absolutely.
complex, probiotics, making sure that when we need a probiotic and we go for a yogurt or kefir, that it has the enough amount of probiotic, because sometimes we might need to supplement with a probiotic if we have some GIT issues, and just getting probiotic from yogurt, which we really don't know how much of probiotic is it, because it's different. I mean, there's some yogurts who you can buy from, like the local or the Whole Foods and things like that, might have more probiotic than the ones that you just get them and they are on the shelf for a long time. So you have to be mindful of the quantity and what you need at that time.
Right. And then also looking at the yogurts that have like a lot of added sugars and that
Yeah,
sort of thing, and making sure that it's a clean yogurt, right? That isn't going to, throw
yeah,
it off with all this other junk that's in
of
it.
course.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about supplements because our food is devoid of a lot of these nutrients. And, we have to watch the quantity of food that we're eating. I also think it's important, and you can tell me what your thoughts are on this, is that, I do think as human beings, we find maybe like, depending on certain periods of our life, but we find foods that we like or foods that we think are healthy for us. And then we sort of eat the same thing every day. And to your point from the very beginning, when you talked about having like five different colors on your plate, don't you think it's really important to mix up your nutrients and so to mix up the variety of foods that you're eating and try not to eat the same thing every single day?
Yeah, of course, that's right. We have to eat a variety of things, a variety of vegetables, of fruits, and things that like different variety of protein or of fruits, vegetables, things that are like anti-inflammatory. So yeah, try not to eat the same thing every day. Your body sometimes might get adjusted to it, so
Yeah.
don't get enough things of
Yeah.
it. So yep.
The saying variety is the spice of life is really applies to when it comes to your diet, right?
Yeah, I mean, be
Yeah.
creative. I love cooking, and cooking is
Yeah.
really a very like a hobby to me. I feel so relieved when I do cook, and just be
Yeah.
creative. So some people, when they come to me, they also have a problem with cooking. They don't care to cook, and really, I see cooking is very easy. Like being like simple ingredients, very simple ingredients. Like for example, as simple as a pot with some chicken on it, some vegetables on it, some spices, and just put it in the ovens. As simple as that. So it's
Yeah.
not so complicated to cook healthy.
Yeah.
And it's not doesn't taste bad because some people think well, eating healthy it tastes bad, but not. It's not. I mean, you can have variety of spices on it, which is all and turmeric, black pepper. These all things have benefits and have anti-inflammatory effects. So cooking with them will give you the flavor and will also give you the benefit of these spices and things like curcumin, for example, or turmeric. They are good for as an anti-inflammation.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No, I love that you bring that up because I think again, cooking is something that is hard for a lot of, women that are possibly working or they're stay-at-home moms, but they're still running their kids around all day, every day. And, cooking in our modern world hasn't always been a priority because we have these packaged foods from the grocery store. We have a lot of like, easy, quote unquote, they're marketed to us as easy meals. Here you go. And let's be honest, the labels say this is healthy for you. This is great. And so it's taking me years to figure out that I enjoyed cooking because when I first was doing it, especially when my kids were young, it definitely felt more like a chore. I wasn't good at it. I didn't really know what I was doing. But as I've learned over the years, to your point, that simple is better. You can do things with a lot of like minimal ingredients that taste delicious. And I really think it's a whole mindset shift around it. And I think it's a mindset shift to instead of looking at it as a chore and being frustrated by it, I do find sort of like some peace and relief in cooking now
mhm.
because, it's more of the mindset for me. I have shifted it to I'm cooking this beautiful, healthy food not just for myself, but for my family. So, hopefully so that they feel good and they get the nutrients they need and can live a healthy lifestyle. But that mindset shift for me made a huge difference in my experience of cooking dinner every night. So I think that is important. It's really how you look at it and how you think of it. Because sometimes, especially if you're not good at it, and I wasn't ever really taught and I wasn't really good at it, but I sort of self taught now and I look at it as really a lot of fun in a way.
Yeah, I started cooking very, very young. Like I was like maybe 13, 12 years when I really went
Yeah.
into the kitchen and started cooking. And when I had my baby, in the beginning when he started eating food. The market has this all baby food that is
Yes.
very like no. And I got for him one of these things, and I tried to feed him, but he didn't like it. And then I tried to eat it, and it was really bad. I just it was really bad. I was like, no, 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 I'm not gonna do this to my kid. And I
Yeah.
started doing for him everything from scratch at home, and use my talent in putting different things like
Yeah.
avocado, the eggs, blah, 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 when he was just introduced to food. So thank God, one of my achievement for now is he does not eat any junk or any fast food or anything, because his taste bud is used to the local food and how they really taste good, and they
Yeah.
give you the nutrients. So I think cooking is really very simple as much as you simplify the ingredients
Yeah.
and use the things that would give it flavor. So the people who really do not like to cook, I encourage them always to try to go simple. And it's really very easy if you like concentrate on it like everything else. If we decide to do anything else and we really put our power in it, we will do it. So think about
Yeah.
what you are bringing into your body.
Yeah, absolutely.
This packed food, and you don't know what's in it.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Okay, so tell me a little bit more about some supplements that you like, especially for women in mid-age or midlife, perimenopausal women. Obviously, everybody's menopause journey and every is different, and everybody's body is different, and everybody reacts in different ways. But I'd love to know sort of like maybe there's certain supplements that you see that are go-tos, or certain areas where a lot of women that you see are really lacking, in getting this certain nutrition in their diet.
Mhm.
Tell us a little bit about supplements for you.
Okay. So yeah, so one of my first approach when I see my client or my patient, I usually do a nutrient deficiency lab work. So I check their iron. And I'll tell you what, like maybe 80 or 90% of people I see that they have iron deficiency, which they not cannot see. So I check their iron, their magnesium, vitamin D, B12, omega-3, things that I really can suspect that they have a deficiency. Even more like even when we finish our intake form, which is quite extensive for functional medicine, you know how extensive our intake forms are.
Yep.
I do these lab work and I just make sure that they have enough of these. Vitamin D is very important, especially in the countries where we don't have lots of sun, and so especially in the winter. And vitamin D is very important for inflammation and for energy, for lots of things. So vitamin D, I always check, and I always encourage people to take it even more in the winter. So like if you don't have a deficiency, try to take vitamin D in the winter because there's no sun or there's not enough sun.
Yeah.
Other things like, for example, magnesium, and
Yeah.
because lots of people or lots of women at that age in the perimenopause and menopause will start having problem with sleeping.
Yeah.
And sleeping is very big thing, because if you don't sleep, you will not get your energy back, and then your day will not run as you want it. So magnesium is very important. Magnesium glycinate for people who want to sleep. It's always recommended to go up to 400. Magnesium citrate for people who has constipation. So it's also depending on your symptoms. But magnesium is a thing that I use widely with my patient together with
Yeah.
vitamin D. Calcium with vitamin D and K, and magnesium for people who have osteoporosis or even osteopenia, people who have low bone density or have a family history of like low bone density. These things has to be covered as well. Omega-3 is such an important thing. It's an anti-inflammatory, and it has an anti-inflammatory property, and it may help reduce the menopausal symptoms such as hot flashes, and also support the heart health, which is very important in menopausal. So this is something that I really use as a lot. If they are not having enough estrogen, or the lab work shows that they have less estrogen, and they really don't care for HRT or something, phytoestrogens is very important for them to have. B12 or B complex is also very important. The B complex supports the energy and the cognitive function, and they help the fatigue and mood changes that is associated with women at that age. Probiotic, if they are not eating enough probiotic, I would encourage just a simple probiotic to be taken to support the gut health.
Yeah. Is there a certain probiotic that you like or recommend? Because I do think the whole world of probiotics is, I don't know, there's just so many out
Yeah,
there
there
and
is ton of
you
probiotics.
there's like so many and you hear so many different things about the different probiotics and which ones are effective and which ones aren't. And so I'm just curious if there's one that you like or recommend to your clients.
Well, depending on their situation and what they
Okay.
have. But I like Saccharomyces dordi. It's a good. It's almost used for most of the things. They are present in lots of probiotic, but this is a good one, Saccharomyces dordi. But there is also like you said, it's
Is that the brand or is that the
no, that's
actual
the
probiotic?
ingredient. That the
Oh,
ingredient.
that's the ingredient.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's no specific brand. I mean, there is lots of brands over there, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's all depending on the situation,
Yeah.
what her situation is. So
Yeah.
there is a probiotic for the GIT, there's probiotic for the vaginal health. So it's different
Yeah. Yeah.
what she
Okay.
really needs.
Understood.
Yeah. So these are kinds of the supplements that I are like the baseline for me.
Yeah.
And then I go for other things like, for example, black cohosh is one of the most well-studied supplements for menopause. It's made of the root of North America black cohosh plant and is used for some women to treat the hot flashes and the other menopausal symptoms. So this is one of the things. Inositol, myo-inositol, it's now gaining property, and it help in hormonal imbalance, insulin sensitivity, mood regulation. That's the thing, like, I can think about if she really has some symptoms.
Yeah. Oh, wait. So wait, which one was that?
I was talking about the myo-inositol.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So there's a lot of supplements, but also it's a root cause and what you are having. So,
Yeah.
but there's something that I would like mention for a little bit now that is
Yeah.
really I see more in patients or in clients that are in perimenopause and menopause is the food allergies and food sensitivities and intolerance.
Yeah.
These things I see nowadays more often than before. And there is, of course, a difference between allergies, sensitivities, and tolerances. The allergies are involve more like the immune system response to specific food, and they can be tested by blood. And they symptoms like hives, swelling, anaphylaxis. So they are really like truly emergency things. Sensitivity and tolerance are more like general involving the digestive system and may cause some symptoms such as gases, headache, bloating, things like that.
Yeah.
In our journey of hormone changes, we might develop some things that we didn't have when we were younger.
Yeah. For
So that
sure.
yeah, so that's the thing that I usually test people for, especially if they tell me I didn't have this before. I never had an allergy or a sensitivity to gluten or dairy, which is the most famous thing, and then
Yeah.
coffee, alcohol, processed food. These are things that are most the things that I see. Sometimes nut, sometimes soy, sometimes milk, egg, sometimes environmental allergies. So it's like different things.
Yeah. It's like our whole body just changes.
Yes, exactly. Our whole
Yeah.
body changes. Like
Yeah.
I'm not there yet, but I mean, I think I'm like kind of prepared.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I think you're very prepared. A lot more prepared than I was. And listen, I'm a nurse and I spent lots of time in pharmaceutical. So I know the science, like I totally thought I was prepared until it happened to me. And then I realized how absolutely unprepared I was. But at the time, there's a lot more resources now, and it's still not enough for women.
Mhm.
But, I'm talking 7 years ago, and 7 years ago, there was not a lot of resources. People weren't talking about menopause. There were no books on it. There was no social media on it. So, like, it's definitely come a long way. But, I definitely think you're very prepared. But going back to what you were saying, I do agree. I think your entire body changes and it changes in ways that you just don't really expect. And I think it changes in so many different ways that you don't realize at the time. And this is where I think a lot of women are struggling. I think women even in their late 30s, into their 40s are struggling with certain health conditions, not realizing it, that it's most likely perimenopause
Mhm.
and related to the hormone changes in their body, because the changes in our hormones really affect our entire body in so many different ways.
Yeah,
And it's really getting again to the root cause and understanding why these changes are happening. That's the only way that you can really solve the problem. Because if not, the problems just sort of add on to each other and build and grow. So I think you bring up a very important point about food allergies, about your body changing, because it is really something to look for and to be cognizant of as you get to this stage of your life, because what worked for you before very well may not work for you now.
exactly. And what worked for somebody might not work for her friend or or anybody relative. So
Absolutely.
it's all personalized approach for
Yes.
everything.
Yes. And that's why people like you and what you do are so important. So, tell us quickly where people can find you and find out more about your practice.
So my practice is in Ardmore, 233 East Lancaster Avenue, and I also do virtual appointments. So I
Wonderful.
also I also do virtual appointments. So I can see them in office, and I can see them virtually. We can work together on any food problems they have and any sensitivities, autoimmune disease, lack of energy, lack of sleep, GI issues. I do extensive lab work and extensive stool analysis, SIBO testing, and I use some labs, and we talk extensively. My appointment is like an hour plus, and we go in depth for everything, and then we do an extensive blood work, and we go in depth in the extensive blood work. I follow the optimal ranges more than the normal ranges, so we can be optimal for everything. So I'm fine. I do work in Ardmore, but I can be available virtual as well.
Great. And your website is
Is Dr. Yasso Beauty Clinic.
awesome.
Yeah, that's
Um,
what my website, and then you can have my Instagram and everything else.
yeah, we will link all of your Instagram, your website. We'll link all of that in the show notes so people can just click and find you there. So thank you so much for joining us today on Suburban Warrior. I really, really loved our conversation. I think nutrition is truly, it's our primary food, and food is medicine. And I think the more and more that we can learn, educate ourselves, and just try to do better, because it is a journey. It's a never ending journey, but it is one that is really going to affect our overall health on this journey of life as we combat aging and all of the symptoms that come with our menopausal journey. So thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you so much. Thank you for
Yeah,
having me.
absolutely. Guys, thanks so much for listening to the Suburban Warrior podcast this week. Make sure you check us out on Instagram, and you can find me on TikTok as well at Suburban Warrior. And we will be back next week with another awesome Suburban Warrior here to share her story and expertise with you. And in the meantime, make sure you share the Suburban Warrior episodes with your friends, and be sure to follow the podcast wherever you get your podcast. See you next week.